student, student to staff, and staff to staff, because if staff members are modeling it, then that's actually going to go into the students as well. One of the things that we did, I believe it was said by another school, which I apologize which one, but we do have classroom buddies where we actually have our fifth graders paired up with second grade, fourth grade with first grade, and then our third graders paired up with our kindergarten students. So they actually do book buddies, or they have, I know that Mrs. Gallagher took her class with her classroom around holiday season. They were working together to create a little skeleton of everything. So just kind of build up those relationships as well as some community assemblies. We do have our 4 PBSBs of being respectful, being safe, responsible, and kind, and we're really going to focus in on that respect and kindness as demonstrated with our American Education Week. Yes, this is why I brought Kristen over here, because she slows me down typically, but this is my normal rate of speed, so I apologize for that. So we are definitely going to focus in on the American Education Week with highlighting their benefits, which is our positive reward system, to focus in on kindness. And we don't have a cool name for it yet, but we are going to do our Homeschool Collection Connection. This is a series of books that we partnered and received a grant from a couple organizations where we have 18 different topics, from newcomers to grief to trauma to inclusivity, belongingness, diversity. And you're actually able to go in, we have a classroom set, so we go into the classroom and conduct different activities with a read aloud. And then the students actually take those books home, and they have another additional family activities that they could do around the dinner table or whatever meets their family needs to build that bridge from what's happening over in school going into the home setting and everything. And finally, that's enough of us talking, but here's some quotes. This is actually this was a random sample of 3rd and 4th and 5th graders with some of the comments of how they view our school, of what their sense of being most proud of at HC Storm. And unlike Mr. Modaf, I got that Mr. Milka often dresses up in costumes and or paints his hair, so I stuffed that up just a little bit there. Sorry, Jeff. But again, we just want to say thank you for sharing our work, thank you for this opportunity, and then for all of your guys' support. Questions?
I just have one.
Yes.
So you said the student relationship, so is that just working all, like they're just relationship period, or is it, like, I know you mentioned student to student or student to teacher, so is it just encompassing all relationships in the student, or, you know?
So the student survey on that one, I would have to go, there's a series of different questions to actually go with the sense. Actually, the sense of belonging only has one question pertaining to that. So I don't have the exact specific language of what the question is, but I believe it's more like, I feel respected by students in my school is something one of the parameters for that one question in order to get that score of the 68%.
Would you mind going back? I think it was 2 slides.
That one?
I'm just looking at the bottom of the successes.
Yes.
I didn't get a chance to read it. I'm trying to read.
I'm sorry.
The wording's a little. Homeless status subgroup rated themselves at 96% of non.
So when we broke down into our panorama survey in details, we are able to actually get the different subgroups in each of those areas.
Okay.
And although we don't have a large number at the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade level, again, I'll have to go with the exact numbers, but I think it's around 9-ish. That population rated themselves 96% higher with a sense of belonging compared to our non-homeless students being only at 76%.
That's really interesting to me.
We're-
I would have assumed it would have been opposite.
Yeah,
for some
we're
reason.
really proud of that because they have a lot of ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, that they come to school and at least they feel that they belong, they feel safe. It gives them that opportunity from when that bell rings over to when they actually have to go home. And we got that. And that's what
I mean,
we're
I'll
about.
just point out, I mean, I think if you just stopped a random citizen in town, if you said there's homeless kids going to our schools, they might be surprised by that.
Yeah.
So we are serving a lot of populations.
We have a lot of unique needs, but you know what? They're all ours. Other questions?
No,
We'll begin our own clap then.
I'm going to clap for you.
Oh, shoot.
We wanted walk-up music.
Yeah. We figured we got to wake you guys up a little bit. We're three more. We got it. All right, I'm Gina Greenwald. We have a 2 for tonight, so you heard from me already, but I am the principal of Hoover Wood, and this is Andrea Woods. She's an SLT member and a recent BPSU graduate. That's right. Yeah. Yay. Thanks. Look at that. So one of our first goals is a literacy goal, and we targeted reading because that was lower than our math scores, so we wanted to focus on reading. It has two components, the projected growth targets and proficiency on MAP. And our rationale for that was below, that while students hitting their projected growth targets have been steadily rising, you can see those, we actually want more students to be hitting that projected growth. So our goal would be the 61% for that. And then our proficiency scores are inconsistent. They go up, they go down, they go up, they go down, really looking for more consistency with our proficiency scores. And those are students who are scoring at the 50th percentile or higher.
So for SEL, you heard from my colleagues about our Wellness Wednesday initiative, and at Hooverwood, we really pride ourselves in having a positive environment that not only fosters their academic growth, but also their SEL needs for our students. So our goal is to get from the 79th percentile for students that feel a sense of belonging to the 80th. We are already in that nationally normed of the 99th percentile, which is amazing, but that is one of our goals. And then our CHAMPS walkthrough data also showed that we were missing the mark a little bit with that positive to correctives for how teachers are talking and responding to students and their behavior. So we want to get to that 3 to 1, which is for every negative or redirection or correction you make for a student, they need to hear 3 great things they're doing, which is huge. We know that. If you seek out the good our kids are doing, it will lead to less problem or disruptive behavior in the end. And no one wants to be nagged at by a teacher all day anyway. So we want to increase the positives that they hear from us.
So how are we going to get there? For our literacy goals, the grade level teams will continue to refine success criteria for the major standards. Now, this was a goal last year as well, and it continues to be a focus. And the point of this is it really just helps staff and students have clarity on what the learning looks like. What do you want students to know and be able to do at the end of this lesson? And the more we share that with the student, the more they know what their goals are. So that's something we hope to continue, and we already have that in place. We're also going to continue using instructional rounds as an opportunity to gather that feedback. You've heard of these a little from some of the other presentations from students. And one of the areas we're working on this year is student collaboration. Now, we gathered the need for that based on last year's instructional rounds. So now we've incorporated it into this year's instructional rounds. And it's really focusing on when kids work together, are they able to have those conversations with each other in a polite and productive way? So starting in first grade, it might just look like taking a turn, that I talk, you listen, then you get to talk and I get to listen. That's a hard skill for first graders, well, and for some grown-ups as well. So that can be a hard skill for people. So, and then as we go on, it's how do you prod someone who's not participating? How do you listen to someone who disagrees with you? How do you argue in a respectful way? Teaching those skills first, we hope will lead us to deeper conversation about context, about content, and about text. So we're really just starting that process, but our first rounds were really to look at how did kids talk to each other, we gathered data on that, and what was the depth of their learning. So we've already done that with our first grade group and with it was second grade and with fifth grade, and then we're going to do some more rounds on the other grade levels as well. One of the things that we've noticed, along with, I think it was Storm was just talking about, or maybe it's Grace McWayne, the opportunities for independent reading with student accountability. It's always at schools we say we want kids to read more, but how do we help make them accountable for their reading? So we, as an SLT, are looking at ways, not just the reading log, because people have been doing that for years and it doesn't necessarily equate to better understanding of text. We're looking at more when they are in school, how are they reading longer independent text, be able to think about their reading, and then bring that back to a group instead of being so directed by the teacher. So more independence with that. And then we continue to work on differentiated and rigorous win opportunities. This is something that we've been doing as a district for years, but we continue to work for it's supposed to stand for what I need. Well, are we really addressing what the student needs? How do we know that? And how do we assess that? So that's something our SLT has continued to work on, and we're hoping to move forward, but have some really solid ideas as what does that look like right now? One of the things we're teaching the collaboration for, because we want them to be able to do that independently without the teacher needing to hover over them and have those great conversations on their own.
So our action steps for SEL is we're going to continue to work on that Wellness Wednesday. One of the things I love about our building is if you come in the morning when that first bell rings, every teacher's outside their door greeting every child by name with a good morning. And that sets the tone for the day, and you get a smile, and if you see a down face, we kind of pull them aside right away, give them a little hug, a pep talk, whatever they need to start their day off on the right track. We also talked about morning meetings. We talked about the Student Council Executive Group is going to meet every trimester with Ms. Greenwald. So they'll talk about the culture and the climate. The last slide has some things that they already have shared with her on ideas for improvement and what they love about the Hooverwood School and our community. Buddy reading is amazing. And on Mega Wellness Wednesday, when my fifth graders go down to read to their second grade buddies, they just love it. And one of the best moments was even this year, I have a fifth grader who is 2 grade levels below in reading, was scared to death to go, worried that that second grader was going to read better than him. And he picked a book and he practiced it for a week. And that kid thought he was the coolest fifth grader ever. And the beaming in that kid's eyes came up to me. He's like, I read this. My buddy thinks I'm cool. I'm like, you are cool, dude. Good job. So that's just one of the highlights of fostering this kind of SEL goal for our students. Collaboration, we needed that to come back. Throughout those tough years with the pandemic, everyone was in isolation. It took a while for these kids to want to work with a buddy again. It took a while for them to know how to work in a group. And like Gina said, it's not just kind of you talk, I talk. For our older kids, they need to learn those communication skills for getting older in middle school and for high school, and for just everybody needs to know how to interact with one another. So I think it's something we have to explicitly teach in elementary school as well.
And then some of our areas that we're real proud of, and then some areas for growth. We are another one of those schools that are exemplary on the summative rating on the Illinois School Report Card. So woohoo, way to go, Hooverwood. We have an increased percentage of students hitting their growth goals on MAP. That's also one of our goals to continue getting better at. And teachers rate their students' emotional regulation at 82% on Panorama, which we really do account for that as part of that Wellness Wednesday, that we explicitly teach students how to manage their emotions. We have chill zones in every class, and it's been an important part of our curriculum for actually a couple years now. So it was really satisfying to see that teachers think that the kids really do have these skills. Areas that we'd like to see grow are the proficiency scores, like I already said, and then the grit was what the students rated themselves in 3rd through 5th grade. So almost 40% of students shared that they feel that they struggle to persevere when things get tough, to push themselves to accomplish a task that maybe they're not good at first. And we want to really work on increasing that goal. That's just a huge survival skill in my mind, that people are able to manage a conflict or get through a situation that's tough. So that's something we really want to focus on. And again, we'll use those Wellness Wednesdays as a tool to do that. And then, like I've already said, students needing to work on reading longer passages independently.
And here's what some of our kids think. So shout out to Caitlin and Shane in my class, a couple of my gifted artists, for drawing Howie the Hawk there. They told Miss Greenwald at their executive board meeting that Hooverwood, everyone's friendly, there's lots of fun activities, it's really welcoming when you walk in. And some of the things they love, pie in the sky, I mean, they didn't really reach too high for the stars, but they'd like 5 more minutes for lunch, a little bit longer. Some of them do share that they would like a choice. They don't always like to be forced to work with groups. Sometimes they like to work on their own. And they would like to add more specials, specifically, I believe it was a drawing class? Was it art and a language?
They wanted to paint and canvases.
Paint, yes.
So full-on painting. And then they were also interested in adding language classes. classes. One little boy wanted to learn French, and so he wanted some extra language classes. So, those are some of the things, and they were not prodded too much to say that. And again, it was really gratifying to hear that they felt and they were sharing that it's welcoming and people are friendly, and that's exactly the image that we want to project, and that's exactly what we want for our students. So thank you for listening, and we're really excited to be able to share back in May. As this is my final year at Hoover Wood, I'll be really excited to see our results. Thank you.
Any questions?
Are there any questions?
I do have one comment.
I was almost off, no.
Almost done. And this is not even a question, so
No,
it's more a comment. If you can go back to your successes slide, please. So your second bullet point, I just wanted to reiterate a point here, which is, put it as a success, and it absolutely is, which is an increasing rate. You may have not met the goal that you had set.
Correct.
But that's okay.
Right.
It's, you're making progress towards your goal.
Yeah.
And that is a success, so I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to reiterate that point.
Thank you.
That was a good one, Rob. It was okay.
All right, come on. Okay. All right, we got a fancy remote here.
Left and right.
Left and right. All right. Hi. You've heard a lot of presentations. We're gonna try to be brief. A lot of people have laid the groundwork for a lot of the things we're gonna talk about as well. So we are from JB Nelson, the Jaguars. I got my Jaguar earrings on and my shoes. And I'm Nicole Prentice, the principal.
I'm Melissa Musgrove. I'm a kindergarten teacher and SLT rep.
All right, we're gonna talk about JB Nelson.
So we wanted to start with some celebrations at JB. We are so proud of our students and the sheer number of students that we have in a variety of extracurricular activities. We know that these extracurricular activities, as we've heard in other presentations, are just so important to make sure our students are feeling included and feeling a part of something and have that sense of community. And we love that we have a variety of different interests as well. Our Student Advisory Board, or SAB, are 40 students. They band together and they lead our school store and they lead a couple of school-wide initiatives. They have 2 projects. One is more to give back to our community of Batavia, and then they have a bigger, wider project to go beyond Batavia, kind of more of a worldly project. We are also very proud of our high PTO involvement. This year, our PTO has planned and led STEAM parties. So for Halloween, winter, and spring, we will have like a STEAM-based party in all the rooms. The kids really had great feedback on the first Halloween one. It was really engaging, and it was a great way to include everyone and all the families too.
As one of those strategic goals of parent partnerships, we're looking for those authentic ways to bring parents in. And we always had really strong turnout for Halloween parties, but this was next level because, like she said, they created the lessons, they planned everything, they came in and ran the entire party, but it also aligned to STEAM activities, so great job. Okay. So in our goals, we have 3 different goals: literacy, math, social, emotional learning. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. So when you look at the data rationale underneath, I pulled the last 3 years of data. So in literacy, you'll notice that 3 years ago we had 54.06%, and this is growth, so students meeting their growth targets. And then you see a dip. And then you see us kind of maintain for a year. So that's really where the bulk of our focus is this year. We want to sort of keep on keeping on with math and what we've been doing in math, but our focus is really more on literacy this year. So we're looking to have 60% of students meet their growth targets in reading, and that's again on NWEA MAP assessment. In math, you see a different story. So 3 years ago, you see 42.9, then you see 54.8, then you see 68.2. So we're trending up in math, and we attribute that to our school leadership team focused on math the last few years. We really, as grade levels, we made a building-wide commitment. These are the components in math that we are all going to do, and we're going to do them this way, very consistently. And then we had time within faculty meetings where we did matriculation, where kindergarten and first grade teachers could talk, first and second grade teachers could talk, and so on and so forth, to make sure that our language was consistent, our visuals were consistent. And also just to give those opportunities for the teachers to say, can you please strengthen this? Can you please work on that? We're seeing them come in not being clear on X. So we believe that the growth we're seeing in math is because of that work that we did in math for the last few years. And so we're gonna continue that, but we're gonna shift some of those strategies into reading. We'll talk about that in a second. And then that third column says social emotional learning. We had really strong data in our CHAMPS walkthrough in the fall. We pretty much hit all of the targets we were looking for. So we shifted more into looking at the panorama data and digging in. It's the first time we have student voice at the elementary level. We are really excited about that. So in 3rd through 5th grade, we're actually hearing from the students for the first time. We dug into that in our school leadership team meeting. And you'll notice that I think so far all of my colleagues have talked about belonging and belonging being one of their goals. I think, or might have been one AGS might be similar to us. We started to dig in and we started to notice those nurse visits. We looked at attendance. We looked at nurse visits. We looked at when they talked about being just easily distracted in the classroom. And we decided to focus our energies on emotional regulation. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But that's why you see where the staff reported out, and then you see where the students reported themselves out in managing their emotions. So we're going to work on increasing that through our school improvement plan. So the top strategy is for reading and math. That strategic plan priority 1, enhancing teaching and learning practices. We, like some of the other buildings that you heard tonight, want to increase student ownership of their learning. So we are using learning targets and success criteria, just like you heard Gina talk about. So making sure that we, as the teachers, are clear of what we're teaching and why we're teaching it, that the students are also clear, why are we learning this? Why is this important? And then that success criteria lets them know if they hit the target or not. And what we noticed in our first instructional rounds walkthroughs is that some of the students were still very dependent on their teachers. Like, my teacher will tell me. How do you know if you hit the target? How do you know if you're learning? My teacher will tell me. So we wanted to continue to work on that. And then our second on the bottom, it aligns to the SEL goal, and it aligns to fostering inclusion and belonging, and that's what I already started to talk about in the previous slide, managing our emotions in the classroom. So we looked at the panorama survey, we looked at nurse visits, we looked at our CHAMPS walkthrough, and what we're bringing, and Gina, I'm really excited to hear you say, we started this a few years ago, and it's really great to see, hear the students' comments and see the data, so we're hoping to be right behind you on that. We are bringing in zones of regulation language for all staff and students, and then a designated regulation area in every single room. So what she was talking about that, she calls it a chill zone, right, Gina? The chill zone, we're looking to bring that in and teach that within our next faculty meeting. We're talking about that. So in every room, including specials. Yes. And so when we talk about, just like I think Jeff was saying, when we did instructional rounds, it is led by the SLT team, and it is kindergarten through 5th grade, every single classroom, including specials. Our SLT team is leading. I'm not going to steal your thunder. I know that's your last slide. You're looking at me. I can feel the bombastic side eye. I can feel it.
I'm like, girl, it's my slide.
Back off of my slide. Also so the SLT members are leading that and going into every single classroom 3 times a year. That's all I'm gonna say. And then for the CHAMPS walkthroughs, those also have SLT members on it, also 3 times a year, also K through 5, every single classroom and specials, because we really wanna make sure that we're getting data in every single setting. Okay, I think that's, we have some examples. So we have an example of learning targets and success criteria in art, because they do these in specials. We have kindergarten, and we have 5th grade example, and you can see that they do become more complex, right? In 5th grade, it's a much more complex target. The student is starting to rate themselves. So just a few examples from our fall instructional rounds that the SLT members took pictures of. And now it's your slide.
And just like Nicole mentioned, our goal is really increasing that student ownership of their learning. We want them to know why they're learning, what they are learning, and we want them to own up to, well, I know I learned it when I can do X, Y, Z. So in our instructional rounds, our SLT team has taken it over this year. So we led our first round of instructional rounds this past fall. So all the SLT members, we split up, we did all the classrooms and specials in the building. We got to observe, we got to talk to students, we came up with the questions that we wanted to ask them, we observed, we met, we debriefed, and we figured out some goals that we wanted, some next steps, and we were able to share that out at our faculty meeting with the team, and so we can move forward with that. So we wanted to also continue our learning as an SLT, so we're going to use the success criteria playbook to help guide us so we can help guide the teachers and in return help the students grow in their understanding of why we are at school. So we know that we are always
learning.
and
Always
always growing.
Yep, so J.D. Nelson. We're looking forward to coming back in the spring and sharing. We're hoping to have a lot of celebrations to share.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
All
you
right.
for your time.
Yep.
Pass.
So, sorry, so you said, the teachers' survey was 52%?
Yeah.
That's how they feel?
That's how they view it, yeah.
And the students were 70?
They view themselves higher. So we have a disconnect.
Right,
Yeah.
just making sure I
Yeah,
understood.
you did.
Yeah.
You did see that correctly.
Hello. I'm Michael Wall. I'm the new principal at Louise White School this year, and it's such a privilege to be here speaking with you and representing such an amazing school as Louise White. I would like to open by apologizing for my appearance physically. The other principals didn't tell me we were wearing suits. I mean, with disrespect from my physical appearance. However, the Louise. Whoa, I don't know. Whoa, HR is here. I just came from a musical over at the Fine Arts Center of our first and second graders. There were 700 parents and family in the audience. It was incredible. I assume many of them were talent scouts as well. And so it was just such a great community feeling. And so what an awesome school to be a part of and to be representing here along with.
My name is Megan Newman, and I teach first grade at Louise White, and we are really thrilled to have Mr. Wall here with us and lots of exciting things to look forward to. And I'm going to be talking about some of our successes as related to our SIP plan, so in the area of academic and SEL. And there's lots of things to celebrate at Louise White, but in the area of academics, we have high student achievement on both ELA and math, and our scores exceed the state and the district in both areas on the IAR. And so looking at achievement and growth in math, over 60% of our students exceeded their MAP growth target. And then in the area of SEL, you heard a lot about the Panorama survey, which is new for us this year. We are in the 90th percentile nationally for the sense of belonging at our school. And we also are a CHAMP school, and we have a strong implementation of CHAMPs as seen through our walkthroughs. We've been a CHAMP school for a lot of years, so we are still learning and honing, but we've been working on that for quite some time. All right, and in our goals and areas of growth, in literacy, our goal is to increase student reading proficiency and growth. Of course, we are always seeking that. And how we will measure that is that 60% of our students will meet or exceed their growth goal on MAP. And in the area of the sense of belonging, our goal is to, of course, increase students' sense of belonging at Louise White School. And how we will measure that is we're going to increase students' sense of belonging by 5% and have 95% of our students end the school year without a major office referral.
So to achieve those goals, there's many steps that need to happen. Some of the higher level strategies, those first two go together. So increasing the utilization of formative and summative assessment and continuing with standards aligned instruction. The idea behind this is that every activity has a clear learning target and standard that it's designed to meet, and every activity is able to be measured with how students are progressing towards those standards. This allows both our students that are catching up to have instruction at their level, at their next step, as they continue to improve and increase in their abilities. But also our many students that are already meeting grade level expectations. An approach like this that is constantly responsive to student data allows those students to also be challenged with their next step of learning and growth as we progress through the school year, which is a unique challenge to our school. Another main area in literacy that we're working on is effective practices and personalized learning pathways. You heard from at least one other school about the IXL software, so this would be an example of personalized learning software where students are able to spend part of a school day progressing through activities that, again, are at their level. If they're above grade level, they're having more challenging activities, and the opposite is also accurate. Our goal there is to increase professional development, so teachers know best practices in using those tools. So that moving beyond that, students are using the tools, but are they using them for the amount of time in the best way possible? And also focusing on building structures that provide teachers with opportunities to check in on that data as students are working. Are they making progress? Are students stuck? So again, trying to maximize all of the tools that we have, including that time to increase student learning and growth even further. And some action steps for sense of belonging. Many of these you've heard, maintaining and enhancing calming corners. So again, like some other schools, we have these in place in all classrooms. So this is like the next step. So how do the expectations for calming corners track vertically throughout the school? If we have kindergartners now that are used to seeing a corner in their classroom where they can regain composure, and they see adults perhaps using that from time to time as well, when we get to fifth grade, how much more skill and talent should our students have if those are consistent expectations throughout the years, so students can continue to learn and grow as they progress through the years. Strengthening morning meeting practices. Morning meeting is that start of the day. It can be, hey, how'd your weekend go? Questions like that to build a sense of community. But again, talking about the next step of that, which is how can we spend some of that time focused on what is an issue within our classroom, what skills and strategies have we seen students not being able to demonstrate, and fostering conversations and activities around that. Enhancing data gathering practices. So part of that is looking at the panorama data. It's one thing to collect it. It's another to make sure that we're building staff assessment literacy so they're able to read those assessments both for their grade level, for their classrooms, and for our school as a whole, know what they mean, and know what are reasonable next steps to take. So that is a bigger project to make sure that we're all at the level where we can independently utilize that data. And also gathering more specific data on more minor behaviors so we can see patterns of behavior that might not always rise to an office referral, but are patterns that then we can see for individual students to make sure our interventions are successful and our Tier 1 approaches as well. And then the final bullet there about building expectations, that goes along with our CHAMPS expectations, and that's making sure that in every space students have clear expectations and they can rely on the adult responses to those expectations in a way that, one, is systematic so students feel safe and know what to expect when they're not meeting expectations and when they are, and just clarifying communication between different areas of the school. For our last slide, that he is a prairie dog, by the way. Common misconception that's an otter. He is not. Also, I did not force any children to say nice things about me, but I could have. I just wanted to clarify. So we will not take any questions.
Not getting off that easy.
Oh, sorry.
So first of all, I have a question. I'm not sure how this lineup was created, but I think it's sort of unfair to have our newest principal have to go last.
Thank you.
Mr. Kilbert,
Yes.
it was done very fairly. Alpha order.
And so I do think there's a good lesson for the group here, though, because we're doing a lot about feeling belonging, connected. And so when you stand up and you make your comment that, I'm guessing you had a little anxiety that maybe you were a little underdressed. You look
Perhaps.
fabulous, by the way. You look fabulous. But
Fabulous,
what
thank
I'm
you.
saying is that even a principal can be in a room with colleagues and maybe feel like, oh, maybe I don't, you felt maybe a little uncomfortable because you maybe weren't prepared or whatever, you don't have the right shoes. And it's a good lesson to us, though, because I tell my kids, like, as you show up. I'm not sure why I said that.
They're not a Jaguar.
But what I'm trying,
He ignored my dress
I'll
code.
bring this back around. But what I'm saying is that it's a life lesson because as we grow up, I say it's like things don't change that much from school. So even earlier where y'all met and had a little meal together, but there's always that person that is new to the group, and we need to do a good job of bringing them in and making them feel welcome. So I hope you feel welcome and appreciated because we're happy to have you.
If we don't talk about my clothes anymore, that'd be fine.
We're done. I made it worse, didn't I? I'm sorry.
Thank you, guys.
So board, just out of curiosity, I'm gonna pose a question to you. When is the last time you can recall seeing principals, leaders from administration, teacher leaders from the buildings all come together to present on the same plan and mission?
Never.
So I want to thank everybody that's in this room and those that are not in the room but doing the work every single day on the front lines of our buildings and working with our kids. I want to commend every single person who presented tonight. And I just feel that I'd like that there's something here tonight that I want you to mark your calendar on. And several years down the road, when we're reviewing the successes and the growth and the gains of this school district and how we're achieving the opportunities to approach those gaps that we have built upon the foundation of our successes, you will look back to this night. This is the first time in my year and a half in this district that I have seen this collection of people to come together to support each other on a mission that the board approved in a strategic plan and be ready to move forward for mission success. So I want to say thank you to everybody that presented tonight, that spent time to present. It's no easy task to do that, I know that. So thank you to all of our teachers and our principals for coming forward tonight with these presentations. And actually, Aaron, I think you said it earlier, it can be a very vulnerable presentation because not only were they talking about their successes, they highlighted the areas they know they need to work on. We know there's always room for improvement, and we're gonna get after it. And like I said, several years down the road, we'll remember tonight and say, wow, we've come a long way. All right. Well, thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Tonight, the board will go to closed session. We do have action items after the closed session. You're welcome to stay. If you decide to leave, we want to thank you for coming out this evening, so thank you very much, everyone. Break? I don't read that till I go in, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you. We'll see. This is the time of the. Is that now, or is that in this closed session?
Yeah, you have to make them.
Do we do it now?
Motion, yeah.
All right.
Because then we'll go to closed session.
Okay, all right, I gotta do a motion first. So the time is 9:37. I will entertain a motion to move to closed session as allowed under Open Meetings Act for the purpose of exceptions 5 ILCS 122C1 and 5 ILCS 122C2.
So moved.
So moved by Raquel, second by Danielle. Cindy, please lead us in a roll call vote.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Mathis. Yes. Sliger,
Yes.
Gonzalez Thomas,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Arlandu,
Yes.
Thank you. All right, thank you, everybody. All right, the time is 11:37, and we have returned to open session. Cindy, please take the roll.
Arlandu,
Here.
Gonzalez Thomas,
Present.
Gilbert,
Present.
Mathis,
Here.
Meadows,
Present.
Sliger,
Present.
Thank you very much. All right, action item 8.1, approval of resignation agreement. I will entertain a motion to approve the resignation agreement for the reasons discussed in closed session. So moved by Raquel,
Second.
second by Aaron, or excuse me, RJ. Cindy, please lead us in a roll call vote.
Gonzalez Thomas,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes?
Sliger,
Yes.
Mathis,
Yes.
Arlandu,
Yes.
Kilber,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. Item 8.2 is approval of memoranda of agreement. Tony and Steve, would you like to lead?
Sure. There are two memoranda agreements here. One is with VESPA, the other is with the BEA. The VESPA agreement refines some of the language around a paraprofessional taking an unpaid leave for student teaching. We recommend that you approve that. And the BEA memorandum of agreement relates to pay for school psychologists and clarifying language in our contract around educator endorsements.
So this is, just to be clear, this is an agreement of two MOAs for two different entities in one action. Okay. So I will entertain a motion to authorize the memorandum of agreement with Batavia Education Association and the Batavia Education Support Professionals Association as presented.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
So fast. So, motion by Danielle, second by Aaron. Cindy, please lead us in a roll call vote.
Meadows,
Yes?
Arlandu,
Yes.
Kilber,
Yes.
Mathis,
Yes.
Sliger,
Yes.
Gonzalez Thomas,
Yes.
Thank you very much. Motion passes. 8.3, determine estimate of the 2024 tax levy. Tony?
Yes. So this is an estimate of the tax levy. You will actually adopt the tax levy next month at your meeting. And it must be filed with the county clerk by the last Tuesday in December. And if we don't do it by then, unfortunately, we don't get any property taxes. So it's something that we must do every year. This process really starts when we adopt the budget because our budget is built upon assumptions in terms of what we're going to receive in terms of revenues. And this is kind of one last component of that. It's a formality. But what we're doing tonight here is we're estimating what the revenue, what the levy is going to be. The reason why we're doing that is the last couple of years, we've had to actually have a public hearing. Because if you recall, inflation and CPI was so high that it exceeded 5%. And therefore, since our levy was increasing by more than 5%, we had some more requirements that we had to legally go through, including holding that public hearing. We don't have to do that this year, but what we're doing here is giving the public reasonable notice about what that levy is going to be. There's two components to the levy. There's the operational component that feeds our operational funds, and then there's a debt service component. The levy itself is the operational aspects. The debt service component kind of takes care of itself because the debt service is funded by obligations that you must pay by law. The first dollar out of your coffers must be to pay these bonds back. And so you don't have to take any action for that to happen. It's going to happen automatically when it comes to debt service. And that's important this year because, as you recall, we're paying down our debt service. And after this year, we've got one more year. What's happening this year, though, is our bond payments are being halved. They're going from about 9.2 million to about 4.5 million. So that's reducing the amount of money that we would tax to pay for those.
often goes unrecognized, but your efforts are critical in driving us forward. It's an honor to work with such a dedicated group of board members, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And on a side note to end, a special happy birthday to Raquel, who celebrated her 25th birthday on Saturday. Keep it up. Thank you to everyone. I know it was a long evening.
Board comments. Rob, you feel like starting?
Sure. I'll be brief. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to everyone coming up here. But I did want to mention I had an great opportunity to visit the first grade classes at Grace McWayne November 1st, and just a really it was just an enlightening experience for me being around kids that age again. So and seeing the fine work by the teachers really. I only spent like about 20 minutes or so each classroom, but just uplifting. I heard a lot of good Halloween stories from the kids. So it was a very good experience. So that's it.
Okay, so happy National Native American Heritage Month. Thanks to fellow board members. I know it's a little late, but thanks for your dedication, and I hope everyone has a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
All right, I want to thank everybody in the community who reached out, who came to the board meeting, who shared their voice. I say that every meeting, but it's crucial to the work we do. I definitely want to thank all the building principals and their teams for coming and making a presentation. I know it's fresh in my memory, but that might have been one of the best things I've never seen like in my tenure. We get to see them all together. We get to hear what they're doing well and what they're working on for the future. So more of that. I think it's fantastic. I just want to share a story I had. I got a chance to go to Storm and see the Boys and Girls Club in action, see them working with the kids. It's a starting point, but it was really great to see the impact, and I got to hear some of the stories on how it's helping our families. So I'm really excited to see that program grow and move on to other buildings. And just in since I was here last, I've participated in so many things: the Fine Arts Center, the musical. It seems like every single athletic team at the high school is winning conference or placing at state. Or a music program, a marching band. Craig would always give us updates before they had like their best season ever. It's pretty amazing to see what these kids are achieving, and that's a testament to our families and their staff and letting them have the ability to focus on that. And then the academics, for the high school to be recognized as exemplary was also, very exciting. So I think we're moving in the right direction. A lot of work to be done. We're going to do it. And, of course, good luck to the football team on Saturday. And I just hope everybody has a safe Thanksgiving and we get back to work after the holiday.
Thanks. I'm just highlighting that it's American Education Week. The week highlights the important role teachers, instructional assistants, administrators, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, custodians, substitutes, and other support staff members play in the lives of children at their schools. Trying to highlight that, call out, and make sure that everyone knows that it's very well appreciated. And I don't think there's any faculty or any members mentioned there that we employ that I don't believe have the best intentions of our students in mind and their actions that they take. I think that was evident with all of our principals that presented today with their associates at their side. It was great to see them firsthand. I really appreciate that you had that done, so thank you. Over the past end of last year and the beginning of this year, I was able to meet with each of the different principals, and fortunate or not fortunate, I came upon a couple different situations where the principals got calls in their walkies and they had to address situations, and it was interesting to see. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication, and I'm pretty sure we all agree they don't get all the credit they deserve. So just calling out a little bit more credit for them. That's all. So thanks to them. Thanks to you. Thanks to you, Danielle.
You're welcome. I'm too tired for that, RJ. I just want to acknowledge that tomorrow is Trans Day of Remembrance, and just all my thoughts out to any of our community. I'm grateful for everyone who came and spoke and presented today. I'm really looking forward to what spring brings and to hear all the updates. Something that was not part of, it's not part of like being, district items, I guess, is last month, Batavia Community Diversity Initiative worked to host a bullying talk, which Tom presented at, and I'm really grateful for that, so the community could ask questions and get a better understanding. I don't know if board members have had an opportunity to take a look, but a person who also spoke was Sarah Schreiber with Reimagine Justice Illinois, who is not at all part of Batavia, but had some great points, and I think something that maybe as a board, just even a discussion would be great to have, not tonight, but another night. And with that, I just want to also remind that I am looking forward to us having that board meeting, whether it's a special meeting or whatnot, to talk about our data. It's still fresh in my mind, and I just want to throw it out there. It's kind of related to that as well. But I really appreciate you taking the time, Tom, to go out and to show up, because I know you weren't sure what would you be met with, but you answered questions and you took in everything the community threw at you and answered as best as you could. So I really appreciate that. So thank you for that. Thank you for all you guys for everything and staying here past midnight tonight.
Just a couple of comments on my side. So thank you to all the board members. We talked a lot about all the best intentions the teachers have and everything else. And I just want to say thank you to you guys, because we all have varying ideas and various opinions, and we all work really hard to collaborate together to kind of come to an understanding and make sure everybody feels, at least I hope everybody feels heard about it. We may not always agree, we may not come to the right point, but we try to get to the best we can for the kids, and that's and the teachers and the staff and the taxpayers and the parents. So I appreciate all the work that you guys do that, particularly at 12:06 a.m. The only other thing in regards to that I want to add from my perspective about the presentations from the principals, and that I do appreciate all the work and effort that they all went in, and how it was kind of very well organized, so that it was kind of parity between them all, so we could kind of begin to mentally kind of compare and realize how different our elementary schools particularly are from each other, and how they have to react a little differently. But I also want to kind of commend that whoever, and if they came up with themselves even better, had not only just the principal, but their SLT member there next to them, kind of showing the partnership that they kind of have, and that they're working together to a common goal. It wasn't just a principal standing up there talking all the time. That helped ground it a lot for me. And then lastly, on that point, I love the fact that the presentations also, all of them understood that it wasn't always just about academics. It was about social emotional learning and feeling included and belonging, and the fact that there's a lot of work to do, don't get me wrong, but teachers and staff and principals and best book members and everybody are trying to do a lot of good work. And I've said this in a meeting many, many years ago, and sometimes people feel like others outside are being very critical of efforts being done, and sometimes they forget people are doing the best they can, and they're trying to do a lot of work. And today was a good highlight to me of the work that's being done for them. Is there more to do? Absolutely, don't get me wrong. But today was a good highlight of the focus there is on that. If you kind of just took it as a parity, 50% academics and 50% is making sure the kids are okay. So I appreciate the time, and with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Raquel.
Second.
Second by Aaron. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is now 12:08 a.m.